Hello YouTube, this is Mahadeva the Thunder Wizard, and I am here doing a live stream. Yay! So my internet was really crappy for a while in terms of uploading. Forgive me, there's some construction going on in the background, but we are going to be talking about the lunar eclipse in Libra, which will be happening today in a few hours. Where I'm at, it's Australia, and it's 3:51 p.m. So something like 12 hours from now is when we're going to have this eclipse. I believe that I am feeling this eclipse happening. I believe that I'm feeling it in my body. I'm not, my head is a little muddy, and it's been like that for a couple of days, and I wasn't quite sure what was going on. I think it might be because of this lunar eclipse. So let's talk about what a lunar eclipse is. You already know what it is physically. It's where the sun and the moon are completely opposite each other, and the earth is right there in the middle. So this is going to be, the moon is going to be conjunct Ketu. So Ketu is the aspect of sorry, I'm wanting to make sure that everything's working here. So let me know if you guys can hear me or not. If you can't hear me, let me know. I'm trying to see. The playback isn't showing anything. Yeah, there it is. Okay. I'm now seeing the playback here. I'm also not sure if you're going to... Anyway, I just want to make sure that the internet is running smoothly, because it's been an issue. That's why I stopped doing live streams. It looks like it's doing okay. Let's check the sound. Forgive me for a second. I'm now seeing the playback here. Yeah, okay. So we seem to be doing all right. All right, so eclipse is we have a conjunction between the moon and Ketu. So Rahu and Ketu are not actual planets. They are mathematical points in the sky, and when certain alignments happen, that's when we have the eclipses. That's when the sun disappears or the moon disappears. And it's either Rahu or Ketu that is responsible for it. So Rahu is the north node of the moon, which represents delusion, represents obsession, delusion, addiction, selfishness, attachment to the third dimension, and being deluded by that. This third dimensional reality that we live in, there is no ultimate satisfaction here, which is why it's associated with Rahu. Rahu is associated with the addiction part of it. And so, of course, we come here to the third dimension to experience this delusion. And when we become attached to it, we end up unsatisfied. So the other half of Rahu and Ketu, which are actually a Naga being, one is the head and one is the body. So the body of the Naga is Ketu, and Ketu represents detachment from the physical. So the opposite of Rahu. If Rahu is attachment to the finite third dimensional reality, then Ketu means being liberated and freed from that. Now, that might sound wonderful, except for the fact that Ketu is seen as a malefic, meaning a negative influence. Why is it negative? It's not negative because it disconnects you from 3D reality. It's a negative because you want three-dimensional reality to meet your needs. And so when you find out that it doesn't exist, that it's an illusion, then you're left with feeling dissatisfied in a different way. Rahu, you're dissatisfied because you get what you think you want and you find out it's nothing, like taking drugs. You think you're having an experience, you think you feel good, and then you come down the next day and you find out that you were just completely lost. And then Ketu is telling you that you cannot get what you want from the third dimension. So Ketu is the one that's responsible for this one. And the moon is the mind. So the mind is not the intellect. The mind is your ability to reflect the spirit. Because what does the moon do? The moon reflects the sun. And so when something, which happens to be our planet, gets in between the moon, which is our soul in the universe, the representation of the soul, when something gets between that and you, then you don't feel your soul, if it happens to be a solar eclipse. If you don't feel the moon, it means that you are not able to meditatively reflect on the soul. You're not able to emotionally feel connected. You're not able to feel your intuitive connection. The mind is the software that your three-dimensional body uses to intuitively connect to the soul. Without that, we feel disconnected. So that's what a lunar eclipse is. The mind gets occluded and can't feel its connection to the infinite. And this can be damaging to our emotional self. So, this is happening in the sign of... Sorry, it's hard to concentrate with all the noise out there. I hope it's not bothering you. They're fixing something having to do with the water pipes or something like that. So let's take a look and see what is actually happening. All right, so what is happening is we've got the moon and Ketu, which are becoming conjunct. I didn't tell you to fall down. The moon and Ketu are becoming conjunct in Libra. So what's interesting about this is actually quite interesting, because Libra is directly opposite where all of the action is happening right now. So if you've been watching my videos and you've been watching my videos about about Jupiter transiting into Aries. This is a big deal right now. Jupiter just came out of Pisces. Jupiter is spirituality. Jupiter is the priest. And Jupiter just recently came out of Pisces. It's been there for a year. Pisces is the deep sign of water. And now Jupiter is in the fire sign of Aries. It went from deep samadhi meditation, deep in the recesses of the temple, and now the priest is out in the open and he is lighting the flame for the sacrifice, to do the ritual. He has been meditating and psychically been watching what is happening on the earth, and his job as the priest is to come and bring balance, spiritual balance, bring spiritual vision, spiritual truth, spiritual power to the earth. He has been in the zodiac. He's gone through all 12 signs of the zodiac, and so all of the karmic challenges that have built up over this year, he is now going to balance as he is doing his spiritual practices in the fire sign of Aries. So a lot of things are going to happen. As you know, there are so many things being revealed. There are some things that I can't talk about on YouTube, but one of the things that the deep state had planned to do, you can be grateful about this. I'll talk about it on my Rumble channel. Go to Rumble, thunderwizard.com, and subscribe to me there, because I'll talk about it on the Rumble channel. But one of the things that the deep state had planned to do, to completely destroy your freedom, they have been thwarted. People, again, whom I can't talk about, have come forward and revealed some truths about what the deep state were doing in a big way. It's been a big movie, actually. A movie that I've told you guys to go watch. There's been a big movie where these things have been brought to light, and the deep state did not follow through with something they had planned on doing. Sorry, the sun is going down, so my face is going to get... There's going to be a dramatic lighting effect. I'm not doing that on purpose. So the deep state is now panicking. I'm not going to get into specifics again because I just got banned from YouTube a week or so ago. I don't want to make any more mistakes to piss them off. But trust me, they are panicking. Now the problem is that the narratives are falling apart. All of the narratives that you've been told over the past 3 years are all falling apart. And nobody is buying into them. There was a fear narrative that was being given to you through mainstream media that didn't work for 2 reasons. Number one, nobody cared, which they were hoping people were going to get really afraid, and nobody cared. And the other one was that their true motives behind this has been revealed. And now they can't follow through. If they followed through with what they wanted to do, people would know they were lying. And it would make things even worse than it is now. Unfortunately, the problem with that is... Okay, it looks like something stopped here. Unfortunately, the problem with that is that... Sorry, I'm getting distracted. Unfortunately, the problem with that is that when they can't do what it is that they want to do, it makes them a little panicky. So when a wild animal is panicking, they can be dangerous. So I'm not going to get into specifics again, but I do recommend that you keep your eyes open to what's happening out there. Hopefully you can still hear me. I can see that the things aren't working so good. Let me see if I can be heard. Yep, you can still hear me. So keep your eyes open because some big things are going to happen. I can't talk about them because YouTube won't let me talk about them. But some big things are about to go down in the world. Big stuff. And it might be completely earth-changing. It might be frightening, but I don't want you to be afraid. Because what is forcing the elites to act panicked is the fact that they are losing. They are losing the propaganda war. Nobody's buying into them anymore. Nobody's believing them. In fact, the nonsensical lies that they are trying to show you, I wish I could talk about it, but just in the news the past couple of days, there's something that the mainstream media is trying to get you to believe is going on with the war between Russia and Ukraine, which is absolute nonsense. It is so childish and so overreaching that nobody's even paying attention to it. So that means they could do something stupid. But something's going to happen. Something big is going to shift in the very near future. And so I just want you to keep your eyes open for that. And the point I was trying to make is that if you want to be protected from what the elites might be doing, is you have to retreat back to your spiritual center. So you have to be doing some kind of spiritual work, some kind of meditative work, some type of energy work, something to keep you connected. I recommend everybody do interdimensional meditation. If you don't know what that is, if you've never done anything like that before, you can go And I really wish that I don't have a curtain here. I would close the curtain, but I don't have one in this house I'm renting. There isn't. So I have to just live with this sun that's about to just be in my eyes here in a second. But I recommend that everybody, if you haven't done interdimensional meditation, you go do what's called CE5. So if you don't know what that is, just go and type in Google the letter C, the letter E, the number 5, and protocols. Do that. You should also watch the movie. It's free on YouTube. You should watch the movie Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind and start doing that on a regular basis. Because as you've heard me talk about, we have already started the shift. The shift you've been hearing about for years, that they've been talking about since I can remember, all the way back to 2012. That shift is now upon us. It started, officially started December 2nd of 2022. And there's going to be continuous solar events that will keep hitting the Earth, and the energy that the sun is giving out is going to actually change your DNA. It happens every time that there's a big evolutionary shift. What is combined with that, science will start to realize this has happened everywhere. When the dinosaurs went extinct, when mammals came to the forefront, when the Neanderthals went extinct and human beings came into the forefront. What happens every single time one of those evolutionary shifts happen, those very fast, very intense, huge evolutionary shifts, what happens along with all of those is that there is a solar event that happens. There is a series of solar storms that affect the Earth, and the radiation from the sun is at such a particular frequency that it changes the DNA in the animals that are living on the Earth. I just recently watched a very interesting video that scientists are just now coming to the realization that the dinosaurs did not go extinct because of a giant asteroid that hit the Earth. Now, I've been told that, you've been told that. There seems to have been evidence that there was a massive cataclysm, but now they're realizing that that is not what killed off the dinosaurs, and they don't know what it is. Well, they're looking in the wrong place. If they went and looked in the archaeological record, they would find that there would have been a solar shift, that there would have been an increase in solar radiation that was hitting the Earth. That's what got rid of the dinosaurs. That is what got rid of the Neanderthals. That, by the way, is what helped the Gigantopithecus evolve into Sasquatch. Sasquatches, as you know, are spiritual beings. They're shapeshifters. I know for a fact they are because I experienced one way back in 2001. And anybody who's actually experienced a Sasquatch in person will tell you that those beings are not from our dimension. But they used to be. So Neanderthals, humans, and apes known as Gigantopithecus, 7-foot tall apes. We all lived together at one point. There was one point in time where we were all part of the same world. And what happened is the radiation from the sun shifted. There were these episodes where the radiation from the sun came in and shifted. And each time that happened, it changed the DNA. Simultaneously changing the DNA is also the vibration of that particular species went up a notch and started living in another dimension. Another thing about Sasquatch, if you research them from people who've experienced them, you will know that they shift in and out of our dimension. That they can be walking and then all of a sudden disappear. You can be following their tracks in the snow, in a giant field of snow with no trees around, and all of a sudden the tracks will just stop as though they've just been lifted out of the air. And that's because they shift between our dimension and their dimension. And the point I'm trying to make is that this is what's happening for humans. The solar radiation that is hitting the earth is shifting human DNA. Your body is going to change. And as you could call it light body or rainbow body, I don't care what word you want to use, but what will happen is the DNA will change as well as your vibration will change, and we will shift up to a higher dimensional experience of planet Earth. And the deep state vibration will not follow us. So whether or not, there's different theories about how this is going to work. I haven't made up my mind yet. But whether or not lower vibrational 3D people will stay in a lower version of Earth, and people who are ready for the shift will vibrate up to the next version of Earth, and we'll sort of be like, maybe we'll be like Sasquatch. We'll be able to shift in and out of, the lower dimension where the rest of the people are. Who knows what? I don't know. But either way, I can guarantee you your DNA is going to shift and your vibration is going to shift. If you choose to be a part of the shift. If you want to make sure that you're going to be part of the shift, you have to drop the fear. You have to drop the anger. You have to drop the victim mentality. So any of you people, when I put things up here like the elites are going down and you write things like, I hope they all burn in hell, you're not in the right mindset. Because to get to that higher level, you have to have worked through all of your pain and your anger to such a degree where you want everybody to come with you. You no longer have any resentment or any anger, or you're at least willing to work through all of your resentment and your anger, because that is a choice. How you view the world is ultimately your choice. You have to choose to move beyond that. So when you do that, then things will shift. So this eclipse, getting back to the eclipse, this eclipse is directly opposite and aspecting Jupiter, Sun, Mercury, Rahu, and Uranus in Aries. Huge shift. Total, complete, utter transformation and shift. Jupiter is bringing awareness. Jupiter is bringing enlightenment. Jupiter is coming like the god of thunder, and he's driving away the negativity. He's driving away the demons. So that's what's happening. And the way to get through this is to allow this eclipse to reveal within you where you need to find balance. Because Ketu and Moon are in the sign of balance, which is Libra. Again, we're talking about Vedic astrology, not Western astrology. So, this eclipse is happening in Libra. And of course, if you're in Western astrology, you think it's happening in Scorpio, and that's false. Unfortunately, the tropical zodiac is an inaccurate calculation of the sky. The sidereal zodiac, which you can be a Western astrologer and use the sidereal zodiac, but Vedic astrology uses the sidereal zodiac, and so they have an accurate calculation of the sky. So this is happening in Libra. Libra is the sign of balance. People mistakenly think that Libra means justice, and that's not true, because the sign of Libra is the balancing scales. And so people conflate that with the scales of justice, and that's not what it means. The scale that is used in Libra has to do with somebody, a vendor on the street, who is making sure that he gives the customer the balanced value of what they're paying for. So it's the balance so that you get what it is that you want. It is about, Libra is about friendship, love. It's the sign of counselors and healers. It's the sign of friendship. It's the seventh sign is the seventh house, which is the house of relationships, equanimity, so balance. You can't have a relationship if things aren't balanced. So in this eclipse, it's a good idea for you to think about where you are out of balance. Where are you out of balance in your relationship to others? Where are you out of balance in your relationship to yourself? Where are you selfish? Where are, if you're full of anger and you're full of resentment, you may be justified in your pain. Somebody may have harmed you. But here's the thing, people, wait around for abusers to somehow shift. They don't. So let people go. Let them go with love, release them, detach from them lovingly, wish them the best, and stop expecting people to give you what they can't give you. Stop waiting around for your neglectful, abusive parents to love you. They never will. Stop waiting around for your ex-wife or your ex-husband to finally wake up and give you what you've always wanted. Stop trying to get from other people that aren't willing to give to you unconditionally. Stop throwing yourself away in relationships that don't serve you. Learn to find the connection within yourself. Learn to go deep within yourself and find your value. Find your higher vibrational existence. So that's basically my message for this, and I also wanted to test to make sure that the internet was working and that I was able to do a live stream, which I am. So I'm grateful to see that the internet has fixed itself at least a little bit, and I'm able to do some live streams. I am happy to do some question and answer if you have them. So the way this works, I haven't done a live stream in a while, is if you have a question, do me a favor and in the chat, write the word question in all caps so that I can see it, and then just write your question. You can also just share a feeling if you want. Those are the two things I'm looking for. I'm not interested in your opinions. You can make your own videos on your own channel about your own opinions. But I am interested in your questions. And a question is, do I have the answer to something that you don't? That's a question. Asking me what kind of underwear I have on or what kind of antiperspirant I wear is not a question. All right, so that's it for me. While I'm giving you time to think of a question, what I'd like to do is very quickly go through something I'm really enjoying, which is, if you look here, all of the planets here are associated with each of the 7 main chakras. So I'm going to talk to you about a very interesting alignment there, which is if you see the heart chakra, you can see that both Saturn and Moon are associated with that chakra. And I find that extremely interesting. The reason for that is because Moon is obvious, because Moon is our emotions. Moon is a reflection of the soul, and the soul happens to reside in the heart chakra in your body. That's where the soul resides in your body. So Moon makes plenty of sense, having the Moon be associated with your heart chakra. But Saturn associated with the heart chakra sounds kind of opposite, doesn't it? Because Saturn is the judge. So in order to be able to understand the idea of Saturn being one of the planets associated with the Moon, it means we have to change our understanding of what the planet Saturn is. So Saturn is the judge, which has to do with karma. So what is karma? Karma is not a punishment. Karma is not what forced you to become human. So we've been taught wrong. Karma did not force you to reincarnate. Karma is not, as I said, a punishment. Karma is nothing more than the law of action versus reaction. It's just what happens when you do something, there's a result. That's all that karma is. When you act in a way that's contrary to what's best for your soul, you will create a result that will be unpleasant for you. And you will call that negative karma. But when you act in accordance with your soul, then Saturn is the one that rewards you. Saturn rewards you with benefits that never go away, that are everlasting, for eternity. You are only experiencing one life out of potentially thousands or millions. By the way, you've incarnated on multiple planets. You have lived lives in higher dimensions. So this isn't a life where you're trying to struggle to get to a place of enlightenment so you can be free of the third dimension. That's not how this works. Every time that you die, you go to higher dimensions, and you can go to whatever dimension you want. If you've come back to the earth, it means that you've chosen to come back. Sorry to deflate your victim mentality. Sorry that I'm not reflecting back to the pain you might be experiencing about living on Earth. It was your choice. And so when you act in accordance with your soul, the planet Saturn gives you a reward that is eternal. Meaning that when you leave this life and you go back to the fifth, the sixth, the seventh dimension, you go back to that other Pandora, planet, that beautiful Eden planet that you've lived on many times. When you go back to any of those, you're going to take with you a benefit, a reward that will never go away. That means for eternity, that reward will stay with you. That is why, in my estimation, why Saturn is also associated with the heart. Because Saturn, the judge is somebody who tells you what you want to hear even when you don't want to hear it. The judge is somebody who makes it so that you have to do certain things to balance yourself spiritually, even though it's the last thing in the world you want to do. And the judge loves you so much, he's willing for you to hate his guts. You can go online right now and type in Saturn is the devil, Saturn is Satan, and there's no shortage of videos of people talking about how Saturn is this evil, demonic, horrible, it's the devil, it's, Jehovah the destroyer, when in fact Saturn is your best friend. And Saturn isn't trying to hold you back, Saturn is trying to help you go forward. And Saturn is the one who blocks you from doing stupid things and forces you to take a look at what you're doing. Even if that takes multiple lifetimes, Saturn will be there with you in that until you're willing to look at the truth behind why you're doing what you're doing, and you're willing to take actions for you. Not for anybody else, but for you. Saturn wants you to love yourself more than you love anything or anybody else. And love your soul more than anything else in existence. All right, so I went on that tirade so that you would have time to write a question. So I see here Jasmine. So Jasmine, I assume you're new to the channel. You followed my direction. I asked you to write the word question. What I'd like for you to do in the beginning is if you look from now on, is if you look beneath your question, you'll see that the person beneath you wrote the word question in all caps and then wrote the question. I want you to do that so that I'll see it. There's a lot of people on there, and you don't make that one word question big enough for me to see it, I'll miss your question and then you'll be mad at me, and I don't want you to be mad at me. So next time, write that word in all caps. You say, why does one see faces in the clouds and in plants? You're talking about yourself. Obviously, why would you ask that question? So do me a favor, be more vulnerable in your question and say, why do I see? And then tell me what you've seen. Get specific. You're going to tell me, why does one see faces in the clouds and in plants? It's really obvious what you want me to tell you. So you're really, it's not really a question so much as you want me to co-sign and validate your experience. So what you're really doing is you're sharing with me an experience, and that experience is that you see faces in the clouds and in plants. So the answer to that question is that that's something that the brain does. I'm going to give you the mundane answer first. That's something that the brain does. It's always looking for patterns in everything. And you project things onto clouds and plants and other things, and your brain picks it out, and you see faces. But what you really want me to tell you, the reason why you're asking me this question, I assume, is you want me to tell you that what's going on is that your third eye is seeing the spiritual essence of the gods, of the ancestors, of the spirit guides. And you're seeing them in the plants, and you're seeing them in the clouds. You're wanting me to co-sign that you are in fact having a spiritual experience, that you're having a shamanic experience, and the answer to that question is yes. You can go ahead and ask me deeper questions than that. That's a pretty easy question to answer. And if you wanted me to make you feel more spiritual, you are. You are seeing into the spirit world. So you can accept that. You no longer have to ask that question. But if there's something specific about it, I'd be happy to answer that. But yes, you are having a spiritual experience. Vincent, how did you find out which planets are associated with each chakra? I listened to an astrologer map it out. I don't remember his name offhand. If I remembered it, I would tell you. But yeah, I watched a Vedic astrologer talk about the different planets, associating them with the different chakras. Mina, if you have a question, write the word question, please. Are we headed into the end? End of what? I mean, your question is very general. Welcome to the channel. What you'll find out really quickly is I don't do well with superficial general questions. I like it when people go deep and ask specific questions. Are we heading into the end of what? Do you mean the end of the world? The end of time? The end of this world? Obviously, we're heading into the end of this vibration of the third dimension. That's pretty much what I just got through saying. Yes, we are heading into the end of that, but that also means that we're heading into something else, which you follow up and you say, how can we get to the new earth? That is a good question. I like that question. First thing you can do is you can watch my channel. So if you haven't already, subscribe to this channel and make sure that you spend some time, go and look at the playlists on my channel and watch, all the things that you might be interested in. How we can get to the new earth is you get there within yourself first. So the first thing that I recommend is that you make the decision that you are going to shift up to the next level. Make the decision that you want to do that. That is a choice. So you can do that right now, right this second. You can decide, I want to shift up. Okay, so now you've asked for a ticket. So now you'll be in line to get one, and there's nothing preventing you from getting one. The next thing that I recommend that you do is that you shift your energy. As I say on this channel over and over again, drop all of the fear beliefs. So beliefs like believing that there are false beings of light trying to trap you into reincarnation. Anything that has any kind of negative fear-based belief like that, drop it. Drop the belief that there are NPCs walking around. Drop the belief that that you aren't being loved, that you aren't being taken care of. Drop all of those beliefs and assume that the universe loves you unconditionally and is working overtime to give you all of your greatest desires. Whether you feel that or you see that in your reality is beside the point. Make that assumption. Just operate from that assumption from here on out. If you need help with that, this is what my channel is for. Keep watching my channel. The next thing I recommend that you do is that you do energy work, because this is an energetic shift. Now, strangely enough, this energy shift is only going to be something that will be accessible if you yourself are willing to vibrate on a higher level. So not all of us can just simply choose to do that. Not everybody can drop their fear, can drop their anger, can drop their resentment. People can pretend that they are, or they can lie to themselves out of their feelings, but not everybody can simply choose to go above that. But the good news is that there are tools that we can use that will help us. That is what is on my channel. So without getting into the stuff that is going to actually cost you something, go to my channel. I'm going to write here, and you can just type this anywhere. Go and type in Huul breath, H-U-U-L breath. Type that into Google, and you will find videos of me teaching you how to do that. Do that meditation. Do exactly that meditation. It's free. Anybody can do it. The next thing that I recommend that you do is go onto my channel, into the playlists, and look for, I think it's called Awakening the Immortals Qigong. Okay, go onto my channel and look for that in the playlist. Do those practices every single day. And change and vibrate the energy in your body to a higher level. Next thing I recommend that you do, you asked, so I'm going to tell you. If you do all of these things that I'm telling you to do, especially the thing about shifting, getting rid of your fear, your anger, your resentment, and your victim mentality, the next thing that I recommend that you do is go and look online for something called CE5 protocols. And start doing that. Because what is happening on Earth right now, I haven't gotten into that today, but what is happening on Earth right now? For the first time in the history of the planet and the history of the human race, for the first time, the beings who have been representing themselves as the angels, as the elves, as the what were they called? The beings of light, the ancestors, the spirit guides, whatever word that has been used in whatever religion to talk about some kind of higher dimensional spirit guide beings. Those beings are now seeking to connect with you in a real way. They are beings that live in higher dimensions, and they are now seeking to destroy the third dimension and bring you up into their dimensional vibration, which means they no longer are going to be the gods, the angels. They're going to be our spiritual family, which means that you can have direct interaction with them. Imagine being able to call an angel down and talking with one. Imagine asking an angel, what can I do to make my life better, to be happy, to be more spiritually connected? Imagine having everybody being able to have that being communicate with you. That's where we're going to be. We're going to shift up to a level where the separation between our dimension and higher dimensions will be gone. There will no longer be a veil. Imagine living in a world where if your mom or your dad, your sister, your brother, your friend physically dies, imagine still being able to communicate with them and have a relationship with them. That's where we're headed. So CE5 protocols is just the very beginning of teaching humans how to reach out and connect to our spiritual family, our higher dimensional friends and family who have known you before you were born, and you'll remember them after you leave this body. The other thing that's going to happen is that people without physically dying are going to have the same experiences that people do with near-death experiences. People are going to start having life reviews while they're still alive. They're going to be able to remember their past lives while they're still alive. They're going to be able to, again, travel. They're going to get stronger shamanic abilities to be able to travel outside of their body and go to other dimensions and other realms. How do I know this? Because this has been happening to me. Everything I just described has been happening to me for the past 9 months, and it happened because I did CE5. I reached out to higher dimensional beings and I didn't give up. I did it 3 times because the first 2 times I didn't notice anything, even though they were communicating to me, I couldn't hear them. It took me, it's sort of like smoking pot. Remember the first time you smoked pot, you didn't get high? So you've got to do it. Some people need to do it a few times before they're able to break through their dimensional boundaries. But if you do that, you will create an interdimensional connection and your energy will start to change. Your life will completely transform. You may go through a spiritual or psychological death. You may have to die to a lot of your attachments, which your negativity, your self-directed negativity, you're going to have to die to that, and you'll find out how attached you are to that, how attached you are to being a small, finite human being. It's one of the things I was just talking about that with somebody today. When you interact with these beings, it's very frightening to be loved and have somebody see you as an infinite God when you think you're just this tiny little human. So these are the kinds of things that you'll experience. So I've given you a bunch of stuff to do. If you follow my suggestions to the letter, I can guarantee you that you will make the shift. So that was a great question. How can you get to the new earth? That's how. What else? By the way, everybody who wants to go is going to go. The only people who won't go are the people who choose not to, for whatever reason. Let's see, another question. Tanya Sutherland question, how do you love your soul more? That's a big question. I mean, I don't know how to answer that. Are you telling me that you don't know how to love yourself more? Loving yourself and loving your soul. Let's say you ask through meditation more. Yeah, that's one way. Yes, healthy diet and mindset is also part of this, I must assume. Loving yourself more entails, in my opinion, what I just said. Dropping the assumptions that you have about yourself, the limiting assumptions. Dropping the beliefs that you're a tiny little limited 3-dimensional being. Let me just give you something to think about here for a moment. All of this, by the way, everybody listening to me, if you really want to be able to have these truths hit you and change you, I strongly recommend doing CE5 and or interdimensional meditation. I've got guided interdimensional meditations free on the channel. I also have an interdimensional meditation course at thunderwizard.com. So I recommend that you do those. That is the most powerful way to shift out of this awareness that we're in. Most powerful way that I know of. Let me just give you an understanding. So the world that we live in, which we think is reality, which we think is base reality, this planet Earth, we look out into space, we see this empty, infinite space with no other beings out there, a bunch of rocks and balls of gas and burning balls of, melting gas, hydrogen, stars floating around. That's what we think reality is. And it's not. What we perceive as reality is nothing more than a holographic projection. Your physical body and your physical mind are nothing more than three-dimensional projections onto a third-dimensional screen. Identifying with your physical body and your physical self, your personality, your name, all of the things that you think make you up, is about as realistic as watching a movie on a two-dimensional movie screen and thinking that what you're looking at is what the real person is. No, you can tell by looking at that you're just seeing a projection onto a screen, and that's something that's already happened. It's a play. It's a movie. It's not real. Even if you believe that character really lived, you would know that you can't walk up to the screen and communicate to that character and have it talk back to you. You know that it's not real. You know that it's just a two-dimensional figment of a story. So to believe that you are, my name is Michael William Denny, I'm 5'9", I'm 59 years old, I came from Palos Verdes Estates, California, I'm now living in Australia, hopefully for the rest of my life. I like to surf. If I think that all those things are me, that's about as sane as thinking that person on the screen of your phone or your tablet or your television is the actual person. It's ridiculous. It's not. When you identify with your three-dimensional projected character, your avatar, you are in a complete, total delusion. The light that hits the screen comes from a projector. The projector is somewhere else. So everything on our three-dimensional screen, the planets, the stars, our planet, your physical body, all of those things are nothing more than projections onto a three-dimensional screen. But your essence comes from higher dimensions. So an easy way to look at it is that you are living in a 3D virtual reality. You don't identify with your avatar. You can play the game with your avatar, but you realize the avatar is nothing. It's just an avatar. It's not you. You're not limited to being able to go up, down, sideways like that, and you're much bigger than that. Your soul is infinite. So I'm very poorly trying to get to my point, which is that you are an infinite divine being. You are a God. Only the most powerful, most evolved light beings are given the opportunity to incarnate on Earth. And so to identify with your limited 3D person is like if you're playing a virtual reality game and you identify with your avatar on the screen of your laptop. That would be ridiculous. You're much more than that. So how to love yourself more is to just assume that you are a God. The exact opposite of what religion wants to tell you. Can you see now that religion is designed to trap you in your 3D avatar? There's this God above you who isn't you, who's separate from you, who only accepts you if you do exactly what he says. He tells you you are this little nothing and your entire existence only has value if you get on your knees and worship him. If you break his commandments, any one of them, he will not only get rid of you, but he will put you in eternal torment forever. You're told that your value is based on what you do, not who you are. It is the exact opposite of the truth. The truth is that you are the most valuable, the most lovable, the most worthy being that has ever been created. And your value comes only from the fact that you are conscious and you exist. When you operate from that level, how do you live your life? You don't do anything out of guilt. You don't do anything out of any kind of, somebody forcing you into it. You don't do anything that damages you in any way. Why would you do something that stupid? And consequently, you don't act destructively towards other people. Since you are everything, that you are God, then you don't need other people to do what you want. You don't need people to follow your instructions. You don't need to control anybody. You'd like it if people loved you, but you don't need it and you don't require it. You don't need to have a certain job. You don't need to have a certain religion. The way you love yourself is you listen to your soul and you follow your soul's desire. Again, the monotheist religion is a negative projection of the truth. And, God, Jehovah says, you are here to glorify me. So it's okay for Jehovah to be pleased. And human beings are supposed to work their tails off to please God. And that's a negative narcissistic projection of what's supposed to happen, which is you are supposed to trust your soul and only do the things that bring you joy. And the great news, opposite from what religion tells you, is that if you do what gives you joy, you benefit and bless all other conscious beings, because unlike Jehovah, who is not connected to his creations, you are connected to all other conscious beings in the universe. So when you do something that benefits you, it benefits not only every person on the earth, it benefits all of the infinite beings in the multiverse, including the sun, the moon, the stars, the gods, beings that exist in higher dimensions. If you do something that gives you joy, every other conscious being in the universe feels the joy. The more higher vibrational they are, the more they are consciously feeling your joy. The lower they are, they might not consciously feel it. But for example, whenever people have gotten together and chosen to meditate to reduce crime, for example, they're only meditating. They don't go out and picket. They don't do anything. They just get together and they focus on their soul and they meditate on people being happy, people finding their true joy. And then what ends up happening? People don't create as many crimes. Why? Because they're not as unhappy. They're just, you meditating makes them happier. Now, they have to choose to really take that further. But you get where I'm going here. So how do you love your soul more? You go onto my channel and you watch me read from my book. The book is called The Shamanic Secret Commandment to a Perfect Life. If you're really smart, you will actually buy that book. You can go and find it at michaelwilliamdenny.com. You see over here to my right, to your left, you see there, Michael William Denny, my name. Go there, add a .com. You'll find my books, including The Secret Commandment to a Perfect Life. You can buy it, or you can listen to me on Audible, or you can read it digitally. By the way, everybody needs to be getting my books, Interdimensional Revolution and Extraterrestrials Are Coming to Earth. You can find those on Amazon, Kindle, or Audible, or michaelwilliamdenny.com. How is that for an answer to your question? Charles Schreiner, question, should we face northwest when doing these exercises? What do you mean these exercises? Which exercises? You've been on my channel how long, and you haven't learned that you have to be specific when you ask me a question? I don't know what exercises you're talking about. You mean the ones that I just mentioned? It's really good to have, bear in mind, as you saw, I just launched into a half-hour tirade. I'm not going to remember the context of when you wrote the question. I'm not going to remember what I was saying at that moment. You have to actually give me a context. This is one way to get out of your narcissism and to pay attention, because I'm going to be wrapped up in my narcissism of teaching, so I need you to give me the context. I'm assuming you mean the Hool breath and awakening the immortals. Well, the awakening the immortals Qigong, if you've done it, it has its own rules, instructions that I attach to it, so you'll know which way to face. The Hool breath, as you know, I have given instructions on that as well. So the thing to do is to find the instructions on that. Awakening the Immortals Qigong has the instructions in it, so I'm not going to, you'll have to watch that to find out what the instructions are. The Hool breath, it doesn't matter which direction you face, but if you want to face southwest, you can. How's that for an answer? All right, any other questions? No? We done? All right, so we successfully were able to have a live stream, which is good. It means that I now have a better functioning internet connection, which makes me very happy. So, guys, this channel is not about listening to me talk. It's about doing the work. I've given you a bunch of free stuff that you can do. If you really want to get to the high-level stuff, the stuff that, in my estimation, is the most powerful energy practices in the history of the planet, go to thunderwizard.com, subscribe to the Warrior 90-Day Lightning Qigong. You're only subscribing for 1 month at a time. If you don't like it, you can unsubscribe whenever you want. You got nothing to lose. For the price of a video game, you get literally the most powerful energy practices on the planet. I can't overstate this, but I'm here to tell you, this is the reason I was born. I was put on this planet to spend 40 years researching the most powerful practices on the earth, syncretizing them, and then channeling and downloading more of these practices so that you can have, for the first time in history, a spiritual practice that gives you Kundalini, which is the fifth dimensional energy of consciousness, Chi, which is the life force energy that surrounds us here on our planet, and the lightning energy of the heart, which is the power of the soul that destroys negativity. There is no other spiritual practice in the world that combines these three together. I'm the only one that's doing it. I have been put on this planet to teach you these things because this shift is coming. And for people need the most powerful energy practices available to come out of their narcissism, to wake up to who they truly are, and to allow their chakras, your nerves, and your energy meridians to vibrate on a level so you can tolerate the power of the light beings who are coming here. They're already here, but they're going to start showing up more and more and more. You're going to start seeing more and more of them show up in the sky. More and more people are going to start being able to pull them down into their reality. They're going to start showing up in very powerful ways. They're only here to help, but their energy is incredibly intense. I'm talking from personal experience, and your body has to be able to handle it. So since they want desperately to interact with you and communicate with you directly, you're going to need to shift your energy up. You do that by doing the Warrior 90-Day Lightning Qigong. Like I said, you can unsubscribe whenever you want. Courses.thunderwizard.com, all of my other teachings, and of course michaelwilliamdenny.com, my books. Interdimensional meditation course is on the lightning qigong as well. Is that it? That's it. That's all I've got. I don't see any more questions. Thanks, guys, for showing up, and thank you for allowing me to raise my energy up, because I was feeling a little, because this eclipse is kind of giving my mind some issues. All right, that's it for me, guys. I love you. I appreciate you. If I've done or said anything that has hurt or offended you, bear in mind, I'm just one of these truth tellers, and my goal and my motivation is to try and give you the truth as clearly as I can. I'm willing to tell you what you haven't heard before, or maybe what you don't want to hear, but it doesn't mean I don't care about you. My entire focus for my life is to help you shift. That's the only reason I'm here. That's it. I will love you all. I will see you next time. Take care.